If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new album in the description. Kanye West is supposed to drop his new album, Donda 2, on February 22nd. We got the announcement for this back in January on the 27th, to be exact, with the infamous, poster of the Donda 2 2222 release date that he posted together with the set of his childhood home that was set on fire. And I went over this in a lot of the past videos, so if you haven't yet checked those out, make sure to do that. I got a playlist on this channel just for Donda 2, so make sure you go check that out. Anyway, ever since this announcement was released, people have of course started questioning whether this album will actually release on the 22nd, because this is Kanye West. This man has, for example, also announced Yandi and then never came through with it. Also, back in 2020, he announced the first Donda to be dropping in, I think it was August or August, and we never, got to see that thing. And this was called the Donda with Child OG Donda album, so quite different. And also the tracklist was quite different from the Donda we actually ended up getting in at the end of August of 2021. So people were quick to expect the worst and see him not dropping that day. And I even made a poll on this question on my YouTube page and asked you guys if you thought that Kanye was gonna drop on the 22nd, and I think only a third of you said that he was gonna do it. So 2/3 said that he was not in fact going to drop on that date, even though he announced this on the official announcement post for this. Well, in the meantime, we've of course got more and more information on this thing, and more has unraveled in Kanye's private life and also concerning Donda, or Donda 2 in this case, that we can now get a more educated guess on whether this album is actually going to drop that day. First of all, we had that release party at Nobu in Malibu that a lot of famous people attended. Got a couple of pictures from there and also some snippets. There was Travis Scott there, Drake there, most famously, because apparently now Drake is going to be on Donda 2 after they beefed after, CLB and Donda got put out. But the fact that Kanye had a release party for this album that is supposed to drop in only a little over a week now does in fact point towards, the evidence that we got that this thing is actually going to drop that day. And that gave me a pretty positive feeling that we would actually see this thing on the 22nd, because, he wouldn't have a release party for an album that is not finished yet, or that he's not confident in putting out in like 2 weeks at the point of that time. Now, also another thing since then that got announced, which is a pretty big thing, is another release listening party. This time for the public though, and this time in Miami at Lone Depot Park Stadium. And this is just like the ones he did in the summer of 2021 before the first Donda released. He did it in Atlanta twice at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and then also in Chicago right before the album dropped. And all these posts that he made concerning, first of all, the private listening release party, and also now announcing this new public one, still have the date of February 22nd attached to them. And this listening party is apparently going to happen on Monday, because he said on sale Monday at noon. This could also mean that this release party could be later on in the week, but we only have this information right now as to when this is going to happen. But this is a pretty good sign that this thing will actually drop, because back in the summer of 2021 with the release parties leading up to the first Donda, we saw an increase in intensity and just like budget wise and conceptually wise, them getting more and more sophisticated as we get closer to the release of the album. So him starting to do these shows now, we might see a second one right before the album drops on the 22nd. I said this in other videos as well, but the 22nd is a Tuesday, so not quite the usual day that artists drop their albums on, because that is Friday, since Billboard collects Friday to Friday when it comes to collecting streams and data, to be put on the charts. But this dropping on the Tuesday, we could see another release party next Monday. So maybe we'll get one this Monday, so the one coming up, the 14th, and then also on the 21st, right before the first album drops. This was also what happened in the summer of 2021 when the first Donda dropped. That was right after a release party. I believe it was the one in Chicago, but correct me if I'm wrong. Also, ever since he announced this, a lot has been going on with Kanye privately. When you go to his Instagram page, just quite some memes on there that he made, also concerning his now reignited beef with Kid Cudi after they just got good again, because Kid Cudi was hanging around with Pete Davidson and that whole story with Kim Kardashian. Kanye was very public about this beef now, posting memes to his Instagram feed that, you know, shoot against Cudi, which might be a little bit unnecessary, but then also look at the fact that this album is about to drop in a week. So beef between Kanye and Cudi does stir up some attention again, does stir up some controversy again, and is probably a perfect event leading up to in this rollout. I'm not, you know, saying that Kanye did this intentionally. I don't believe that Kanye would be someone to just stir up unnecessary beef with someone like Cudi, who he's been on good terms with for you know, over a decade now, just to hype up his album a little bit more. Donda 2 already has received so much hype that this would really not be necessary, especially also then jeopardizing their own relationship. But it's just something to think about, you know, concerning the time when this all started happening, and then also the time when this album was releasing. As I'm saying, I'm not accusing Kanye of doing this intentionally, but it could also be a part and an indicator that this album is actually dropping next week, because that would also then serve as a perfect time now that he's riding high, you know, off of some hype and also off of a new beef that now ignited with someone as big as Kid Cudi. So that would just make sense for him to then drop next week. Of course, we can't really ever be sure with Kanye. He could also, you know, might just not come through on that day, but I think all the signs leading up to it right now, especially now also him starting to do these release parties. The first one was private, but we did get a couple of pictures on there. I made a video back when that happened. We saw, for example, Young Lean, Travis Scott, then also Baby Keem on there, Drake as well. So those people are confirmed to be on Donda 2. Kanye also hopped on a track with Alicia Keys and Fabio Foreign. So Fabio is apparently Kanye's new bestie right now. And Kanye has recently also stirred up some controversy with his verse on the game's Easy track. So all of these factors, you know, counting them in, it seems like this thing is actually supposed to drop the 22nd. And I think most people that were very, you know, suspicious right when he announced it, they were like, yo, this is never gonna drop on the 22nd. I think over the course of this time now, also this new release listening party being announced, you know, they kind of changed their minds and are like, okay, so this thing, he's actually trying now this time to release it on the date that he's promised, something that, you know, he's not always been very good at in the past. But when it comes down to it, we can't really predict what Kanye is gonna do, and even though we have all these indicators now, you know, indicating that this thing is in fact gonna drop on the 22nd, that day is still up in the air. And if we wake up on that day and the album is not out, then there's going to be a whole new debate on Twitter and on everywhere concerning the actual release date of this new album. But if that does happen, I'll be sure to keep y'all updated, so stay subscribed. Also go join the Discord, because in there we'll have more and more discussions as we get closer to the 22nd and the supposed release of this album. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. My opinion, I think it's actually going to drop on the 22nd. Now I want to know what you think about this though. Do you actually think this is going to drop on the 22nd? What indicators do you think there are that Kanye is actually coming through on his promise of a release date this time? And if you don't think so, that he's going to drop it that day, what are your reasons against it? All of that, let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.